We're back for another video, and I'm here again with Ben, and we're going to talk about how to launch a successful book in Amazon. So, Ben, how are you today?
Doing great. I'm down. My background is San Francisco, but I'm actually in Los Angeles right now. So I'm in same state, wrong background, but I'm doing well. What about you?
Well, good. You're still in the US. Well, I'm in the Philippines right now. Same. It's 7:30 in the morning. I haven't slept yet, but I'm here full of energy.
Nice,
So
man.
yeah, let's just do this. So yeah, Ben, tell me about this. I know that you've been selling on Amazon via KDP and also ACX. You can explain that to our listeners later. But how did you actually how what is the process? Oh, now you're sharing your screen. What's your process on launching a book on Amazon?
Yeah, thanks, Arvin. So I've launched 8 individual books on Amazon KDP in the last maybe year and a half, 2 years now. And then with those, I've had some kind of additional books, which I'll touch on a little bit. And with
Mm-hmm.
all these, like doing it, we've kind of built out a pretty well-defined process to make sure that you 100% have a successful launch that helps get you
Mm-hmm.
moving in the right direction. So you're getting that initial momentum and reviews on the Amazon platform. And this is the exact same process I've used actually with all of these books to ensure that they rank really well in that first 30, 60, 90 days on Amazon. Go ahead, Arvin.
Sorry to cut you off, Ben. I just have one question because I'm just really curious. This is an interesting process, but I'm just really curious on how you get into creating books or like selling books on Amazon. Are you the one writing it? What's your process? But yeah, just tell us quickly before we go through this process.
Yeah, so I'll do a quick summary and then maybe we can even make a separate video for that as well. If you want to hear more
Mhm.
about Amazon KDP and how to actually kind of get started with it, let us know in the comments and we can maybe do a separate video. But high level, I was already doing print on demand with Amazon. They have a program
Mhm.
called Merch by Amazon. They've renamed it now, but and so I kind of used that originally and then kind of started adding my books as journals on low and no content journals on Amazon KDP. So they were just a design on the cover, simple
Mhm.
interior with like lines or something else. And then I kind of, now that I was in that ecosystem, I was like, maybe I should actually think about writing a full book for Amazon
Mhm.
KDP. KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, right? And we all know Amazon started as a book selling platform. Um, now they obviously have everything. They're the everything store. But KDP is a really unique business model. I like it because it's very hands-off after you go through the launch. You still have to do a lot from the advertising side, but once your book is written and uploaded, you're really just focused on running ads profitably and maybe some other promotions. And that's why I really like it as opposed to like with private label brands. There's a lot of opportunity there. We
Mhm.
work with tons of private label brands and help them scale on Amazon. But there's a lot more things you have to think about and consider for private label brands. Inventory, what's your cost of goods,
Yeah.
are Amazon fees. Kindle Direct Publishing is very straightforward. You upload that book, and then essentially it's there. Amazon prints it. When an order comes in, Amazon prints your book and ships it out for you. And if there's a return, they deal with that. You don't have to deal with any of that stuff. You just have to get the book created, make a good listing, make it live, and run ads. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, but that's at the high level. I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
I just know how to find good demand and good niches. And then I go and get an outline done. And then I have a ghostwriter actually write the books out. So that's
Oh.
that's high level on it.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I thought you were doing it by yourself, so you're looking for someone to write it for you. It's interesting. It's a very interesting business model. But
Yeah.
yeah, now I know we will be having a separate video for that. Why don't you walk us through your process for launching a successful book on Amazon?
Yeah, and I'll try
Maybe
to
I
make it
would
a little bit
do
bigger.
this one as well.
What I kind of break it down into is there's a couple different parts to make sure this goes really well. And this is
Mm-hmm.
starting from the way you want to think about this is, what you're going to do pre-launch, at launch, and post-launch. Normally, how I break it down is 2 weeks out from launch, then you have, which is where your book's done, you're uploading that book, and there's a couple other things you're going to do there. Then 1 week before launch, you're going to be scheduling some of the promotional pieces and a couple of administrative things in the back end. We'll talk about that in a second. Launch,
Mm-hmm.
mostly going to be turning your ads on and making sure everything goes well. And then kind of post launch. Those are kind of the four, I'd say, phases. Um, how it works, I've kind of broken this out on this document, but once your book is done, so you got your cover, you got your manuscript, The first thing is you're going to want to publish it in all the formats. That's going to be ebook, paperback, hardcover, and then audiobook, which is a separate component of this. So normally how I break it down is about 2 weeks prior to launch. So if today is it's September 4th, but if today were September 1st, then I'm going to say my book is going to launch on September 15th. Okay, I've got 2 weeks. So that I'm determining first the launch date, normally about 2 weeks or more out. You can do further out if you want, but you want to have the book done before you determine that launch date. And that's going to be really important in a second. I'll tell you why. But so what you're going to be doing in it 2 weeks out, you're going to upload the book in all the first three formats: ebook, paperback, hardcover. I'm talking about this little bullet right here. So we want to,
Quick question.
yeah, go for it.
Sorry for interrupting you, but yeah. So what I'm seeing right now is like the tip of the iceberg, because we're not seeing like the process of how you write the book, how you wrote the book, rather, and all of the formatting is would be in a different conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just want to clarify it to our audience.
Yeah.
Okay, carry
So
on. Sorry.
this is assuming you already have your book done, ready to go, right? And we can do a separate video
Mm-hmm.
maybe about the actual process to get to that point. But the once you have that book done and ready to go, your planning starts 2 weeks or more out from the day you want to be live on Amazon to sell. And so what you're going to do at 2 weeks or further out, that's when you're going to say determine what your launch date actually is going to be. So at least 2 weeks in
Mm-hmm.
the future, you're going to upload then the book into KDP in the following three formats: ebook, paperback, and hardcover. Again, we can make a separate video on what to do in best practices. Again, if you are watching this, let us know in the comments if that's something you want to see. Right now, this is just an outline for the actual launch. The important thing to do here is when you do set those books up in KDP, you can choose the actual launch or live date for the book. So that's where you're going to do that. It's at setup. You're going to set the book go live date for 2 or more weeks out, whatever that date is that you've determined. The other important thing, there's two other kind of quick pieces. One, enroll the book or the ebook in Kindle Select. This is very important because this is going to allow you to run a free book promotion, which is one of the biggest pieces of the launch process. Then you're going to want to set up pricing. Now, what I know, and this is kind of similar to like what you would do with maybe a private label product in some ways. Some people would say this has changed, but I normally follow a low pricing launch model. So the way to do this is if you want to look at any kind of category. So I just had this book pulled up, but let's say my main keyword is gardening, and that's my main number one keyword for the book I'm going to be launching. Normally, the first
Mm-hmm.
30 days, I'm going to price my book slightly lower than the market price. So if I'm seeing here, we've got, and you can use Jungle Scout Helium 10 to get the average price for everything on page one. If let's say that average price is $11.99, hypothetically, I would price it maybe at $9.99 or $10.99 for the first 30 days because we're competing against people who already have ranking, reviews, etc. We don't have
Reviews.
that stuff. So we need to price competitively. We will later move that pricing up. And that applies same to the hardcover and the ebook. I want to price them low at first. And that's what you're
Okay.
going to also be doing at this setup stage. So while you're uploading the book, that's where you're going to choose the date it goes live, the Kindle Select, that's on the ebook, and you're also going to be making sure your price is implementing a low price launch strategy. The
Quick
next,
question.
go for it.
I'm so sorry. I'm just really interested in this one, so I just want to make sure that I understand it and for our audience as well. The only thing that's jargon to me is Kindle Select. Is it within the KDP account, or is it a different channel or platform?
Yeah, maybe we can put a screenshot in the video edit when we put it live, but essentially it's the checkbox you click when you're doing the book upload on Amazon KDP. And so you can check to enroll the book in Kindle Select, which is important because essentially what that's going to allow you to do is run that free book promotion. And
Yeah.
that we'll talk about that in a second, but that's where that is. We'll try to put a pop-up that shows you what that looks like in the actual dashboard. So the next couple steps, again, this is 2 weeks out. The next thing you want to do, the biggest low-hanging fruit for books is to also get an audiobook done. If you go and you do a search for your book so like just looking at this one as an example. So I searched gardening in the books category. There's 60,000 results that show up. If I go over to Audible and I just check, there's going to be way less competition. Now, this is still a pretty competitive keyword, but just to give an example so there's over 1,000 results, right? I don't know exactly how many, but there's going to be normally 1/10 or less competition on Amazon. Let me try something a little bit deeper here. Let's do gardening planning. And so on Amazon, that's going to show 50,000 results. Let's just check Audible and see how many people show up. There's 20 results for that search term. So you can see why there is such a there's huge demand on Audible. It's very easy to capitalize on that. And a lot of sellers for books just don't even go that extra step to get the audiobook done. So the other thing you want to do at this 2 week out mark is to submit the book to ACX. ACX is the area where you actually get the audiobooks created. It's just acx.com. You find actually narrators in here. So you would tell ACX, hey, this is my book. And then you can post a project and get people. You normally will get maybe 100, 200, 300 people that actually submit a proposal to narrate your book. And that's something you want to do about 2 weeks out, because it will take, once you select that person, it's still going to probably take 1 to 2 weeks to get the audiobook produced. And so we want to start getting that in motion early on, so we have it as soon as possible when we actually go live on Amazon.
It sounds like a very, very smart thing to do, especially right now. People like listening to audiobooks. Like me, I like reading as well, but at the same time, I prefer just listening to a book by
Yeah, and you've seen
audible.
that there's been a huge shift in that, as you would expect, but people are changing their reading behavior, and a lot more people, because there's less time in day-to-day lives as things get more complex. And so more and more people are listening to audiobooks as opposed to buying a written book. And so to me, audiobooks are one of the biggest kind of growth areas. And I've seen even the sales from the audiobooks on those books that we have are really picking up a lot of steam on Amazon. And this is one of the low-hanging fruit. It's normally you're going to pay for a one-time project. Again, we can create a separate video on how to do this. Let us know in the comments if you want that. That is going to be some of the best money you spend, is to get that narrator to create the audiobook, because there's so much less competition, and the sales from the audiobooks are still factoring into your BSR on Amazon. So it does help with ranking on Amazon. The last two steps here, or sorry, last three rather. Submit the book to, I put Booksprout here, but there's two platforms that we use for this. Essentially, there's platforms where Amazon will, and this is different from other, if you're selling a private label product, we know you cannot ask for reviews on a product other than the Vine program. They're very strict about this. Books are different. In the book world, there have always been these things called advanced reader copies. If you're coming out with a new book, you're going to probably send a bunch of copies to influencers in the space, or a critic for the New York Times before that book is actually launched, so they can read it and write a review and build press for your book. Because of that, Amazon also gives us that same ability. So we actually can give away free copies of our book in exchange for reviews. And this is the main reason why you want to do 2 weeks out from launch, so that when you actually launch on Amazon, your book already has reviews. That's going to be a game changer. And the way that we do that is we use two different websites. There's probably more out there, but Booksprout's my number one favorite. In Booksprout, and the other one I'll just let you guys know is BookBite, bookbite.co, booksprout.co. Essentially how you do this is you take your book, have already uploaded on Amazon KDP, so you have your ISBN or ASIN or what have you. So it's already live in the back end. But if someone saw the listing, it just would show for pre-order. You can't actually buy it and have it shipped today, but you can start getting pre-orders, which is another great part about this. But the great thing is you can now take that book and upload it to Booksprout or BookBite and give away free copies. And in exchange, people will go and leave a review on your Amazon listing. And so day one, when you launch, like we would have the books that we're launching now, we're having no less than 5 to 10 reviews day 1 or 2 of our launch. So that's going to make it infinitely easier for you to get launched and ranked on Amazon.
To clarify, Ben, so that's going to be an ebook or a hardcover or a paperback?
Normally ebook. But remember how it works with Amazon is they're all variations. So like, for example, let me go back to this book right here. This one actually is not a good example, but let me find another one really quick. See if these guys have it. So you can see on this book listing, they have over here on the right-hand side, and this is actually, they have a paperback e-textbook spiral bound. They're doing something a little bit different, but regardless, it's the same. Like when you upload your book to KDP, an ebook, paperback, hardcover, audiobook, they're all going to display as options here to purchase. And so The ones we're adding to these review sites, it's an ebook, it's a digital copy, but the
Mm-hmm.
reviews from that will also show for your other variations, right? So if you get a review on your
Okay.
ebook, it'll show up on all four of the variations. Um, does that answer your question, Arvin? Any follow-ups on that?
No, 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 no. Everything's good.
Cool. The last two pieces to this kind of 2 week out pre-launch stage are we like to also start doing our keyword research. So normally you've done some research before writing your book. Again, that's for another video. But this is the time when you want to do your research on the actual keywords that you're going to use for one, the back end search terms normally. So this kind of works in tandem with that, but also for
Yeah.
PPC. Normally you want to have kind of an idea of what the keywords are because we normally like to set up an automatic campaign, maybe one or two manual campaigns for that book launch. And so we're going to be learning and collecting data from that auto campaign, but we also want to put some keywords in to test out for our PPC manual campaigns. What we like to do as well is to actually set up those campaigns and put them in inactive status. So they're not turned on yet, but we are starting to put them and set them up so they're ready. So on day one, when we actually go live, we can flip the switch and turn the PPC on. Do you have any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
question for the sake of our listeners. So the way you will set up the PPC for the KDP, is it the same as how you will set it up for a normal product that you sell on Amazon?
that's a good question. Well, I'm going to give it to you. Do you want to chime in and tell us what you would do? Because I know you know the answer to that.
Well, okay, now I should not have asked that question. But yeah, I mean, I will set it up the way I kind of do it for like launching a normal product on Amazon. Like I'll start with if I don't know the keywords yet, I will set up an auto campaign because that would be the keyword mining phase where I will have to figure out what are the keywords, what are the best performing keyword, where I will convert, and then after that, that's when I will start creating new campaign for either an exact match or a phrase campaign to to capitalize more on the PPC and making sure that I am not just spending money on or wasting money on keywords that are not converting or not even relevant to my product.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just really curious because and to my understanding, the way how the PPC works or even the setup is just the same as normal some products that you sell on Amazon.
Yeah. So there are some nuances. Advertising for books is a little bit different than private label products, but at a high level, and again, this could also be its own video. So let us know down below if you want that. But for generally speaking, we're using an auto campaign. That's going to not always be the most effective campaign, but it's helping us determine what keywords work and convert. And you're essentially, when you set up an automatic campaign at a high level, Amazon is trying to figure out who to show the product to based on what they think will convert the best. Which this is why you want to put all your really important keywords in the listing, because that's part of what Amazon uses to determine where to show what this book is about and where to show it. From there, we'll also
Mm-hmm.
start with a manual campaign, maybe have a couple different match types. And that's where we're going to start filtering those keywords from that automatic campaign into the manual campaign because we know these certain keywords are getting sales and conversions. So, yeah, we should do a separate video on that for sure because that's a
Yeah,
very basic, explanation. But at a high level, that's more or less the two kind of use cases that we're implementing.
if you want to know more and be like complicated process, then yeah, watch out for the next one. But leave us a comment if you want us to do that.
Yeah. So this is the 2 weeks out from launch stage. Arvin, what I think we should do is let's do a separate video for each of these next couple of phases because I want to make sure that these videos are short to the point. So we will put a
Mm-hmm.
link in the comments or description down below for the follow-up video to this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because that way you'll get notified when it does come out. And in that next video, we're going to cover what you do 1 week prior to the launch. Arvin, any last
Yeah, that
questions?
sounds like no, no, no. Yeah, that sounds like a really great suggestion. And yeah, if I will listen for this one for like an hour, I probably won't be able to finish it. So let's do that. And then we'll dive more into the next processes on our next video. So watch out for that.
Cool. And let me just quickly summarize these one last time is again, you want to schedule your launch 2 weeks or further out. So once your book is done, you have the covers, you have the manuscript. That's when you decide what day you're going to launch it, at least 2 weeks from now. So you determine the date that you're going to do and then upload the books, right? And the most important thing when you upload the books is that's where you're going to have an option to choose Is this book going to go live right now or in the future? Choose the future and pick the date you went through. For the ebook, make sure you check the box for Kindle Select so you're enrolled in that. And then make sure pricing is priced at a low price strategy, so below the market. Then start the audiobook. So go to acx.com and start getting that project in motion. Again, we can make a separate video going through all of the kinds of ins and outs of that. Then add your book to the review websites. We like Booksprout. BookBite's also another great one we've tested. Start doing your keyword research and set up PPC campaigns in inactive status though, so do not turn them on. So that's a quick summary. Again, we'll watch or we'll put together a second video to follow this one up. So check that out below. Okay, we'll be back for that next video now.
All right. Thank you, Ben.